Hello there, and welcome to the weekly Outside Views report on the politics of the European Union. The two MEPs, Marc and Andrea Cozzolino, have been arrested in the EU corruption scandal. After the Belgian Tarabella was arrested in Brussels on Friday afternoon and questioned by the Public Prosecutor's Office, the Italian police arrested Cozzolino in the evening. He had been treated in a clinic in Naples, in Napoli, and was taken into custody by the financial police when leaving the hospital, as Italian media reported unanimously. The two MEPs, who were recently expelled from the Social Democrats group and had their immunity revoked by Parliament, are accused of having been paid by third countries. They each protest their innocence. In December, the EU Parliament was shaken by the corruption scandal involving then Vice President Eva Kaili. She lost her job on suspicion of corruption. The judiciary charges Kaili and other suspects with involvement in a criminal organization, money laundering, and corruption. It is about alleged influence on decisions by Qatar and Morocco. Tarabella was questioned in Brussels by investigators who also searched his office in the European Parliament and other business premises. The investigators also went to Cozzolino's office in Brussels. The police arrested him in Naples to take him to jail. That's what the ANSA news agency reported, citing judicial sources. The two politicians and their possible role in the scandal had been reported since December. In early February, their immunity was lifted, allowing prosecutors to investigate them. At his meeting with the heads of state and government of the EU states, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky distributed wish lists for new arms deliveries. A senior EU official said on Friday after the end of the summit in Brussels that Zelensky had handed over detailed lists. According to the information, the wishes are tailored to the respective stocks of the member states. This should increase the pressure on the individual states to deliver more for defense in the war against Russia. Ukrainian now better than heads of state what's in the camps, added the EU official. It's pretty clear and clever what the Ukrainians are doing. They know exactly what they need and they know what to ask. When asked where the Ukrainians got the information from, the official said, "They are informed, they have contacts." Given such intelligence capabilities, it's no wonder they are able to defend themselves against Russia. Almost a year after the start of Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, the EU economy is doing better than expected. In the winter interim forecast, this year's growth forecast for the EU is raised to 0.8%, for the euro area to 0.9%. The inflation expectations for 23 and 24 are also reduced somewhat in the forecast. After robust growth in the first half of 22, growth momentum slowed in the third quarter, albeit slightly less than expected. Despite exceptional negative shocks, the EU economy was able to avert the economic downturn expected in the autumn forecast for the fourth quarter. The annual growth rate for 22 is now estimated at 3.5% in both the EU and the euro area. Favorable developments have brightened the growth outlook for this year since the autumn forecast. Since the energy supply is broader and significantly less gas was consumed, the gas storage tanks are more full than usual at this time of the year on average, as in recent years. Wholesale gas prices have also fallen well below pre-war levels. In addition, the EU labor market continues to develop strongly, and the unemployment rate remained at 6.1% by the end of 22. That's the lowest it has ever been. Confidence is rising, and surveys in January suggest that the feared economic slowdown will not materialize in the first quarter of 23. The fact that inflation has been declining for 3 months in a row suggests that inflation has peaked. This was also expected in the autumn forecast. After hitting an all-time high of 10.6% in October, inflation has eased to 8.5% in the euro area in January's flash estimate. The main reason for this was the slowdown in energy price increases, while core inflation has not yet peaked. Increased use of renewable hydrogen and other derivatives will significantly reduce the EU's dependence on fossil fuels imported from Russia. In order for more renewable hydrogen to be produced in Europe, there needs to be a clear definition of what counts as renewable hydrogen in the EU. The EU Commission presented the relevant regulations in 2 legal acts last week. The first delegated act specifies the conditions under which hydrogen-based fuels or other energy carriers can be considered as renewable fuels of non-biological origin. The legal act clarifies the principle of additionality for hydrogen as set out in the EU's Renewable Energy Directive. Electrolyzers for the production of hydrogen must therefore be connected to new plants for the production of electricity from renewable sources. This principle aims to ensure that the production of renewable hydrogen creates incentives to increase the amount of renewable energy available on the grid compared to the current amount. In this way, hydrogen production will contribute to decarbonization and complement electrification efforts while avoiding pressure on power generation. The EU Commission organized a European Citizens Forum where citizens should submit suggestions on how food waste in the EU can be further reduced. At the end of 3 consultation weekends, the 142 citizens presented 23 recommendations. They aim to reinforce ongoing efforts to reduce food waste through more collaboration in the food value chain, promoting relevant initiatives in the food industry, and supporting changes in consumer behavior. The Citizens Forum was the first of a new generation of citizens forums launched as a follow-up to the Future of Europe conference. The forums aim to integrate participatory and consultative processes into the European Commission's policymaking process in key areas. The Citizens Forum's recommendations on food waste will complement the impact assessment and open public consultation that the Commission is carrying out as part of the EU's initiative to revise the Waste Framework Directive with binding food waste reduction targets. And this concludes this week's video on European politics of the EU. I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.